When Mick Jagger heard the Beatles and felt sick, the legendary rivalry that changed rock forever. Before they were rock icons, before stadiums chanted their names, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones were just two scrappy bands trying to break into a world still dominated by American pop. But what most fans don't know is that the iconic rivalry between these two British giants almost started with disgust, and it came from none other than Mick Jagger himself. In 1962, the Beatles released Love Me Do, a raw, blues-influenced single featuring a distinctive harmonica riff. At the time, the Rolling Stones hadn't even debuted yet. They were still playing cover songs in cramped London pubs, trying to find their place. British music hadn't seen a true rock explosion yet. But that was about to change. One day, Jagger heard Love Me Do playing on the radio. And his reaction? Not admiration. Not excitement. But nausea. He later admitted, with brutal honesty, that the song made him physically sick. Not because it was bad, quite the opposite. It was the realization that another British band had beaten them to it. They had a record deal, original music, and a sound that caught ears. We thought we were the rebels, Jagger once reflected, but suddenly, there were the Beatles. And they were ahead of us. But rather than being defeated, that moment lit a fire in him. He decided then and there to study songwriting, to understand musical composition, and to build something that could stand toe-to-toe with the Liverpool sensation. That so-called rivalry became the fuel for something much bigger than either band had imagined. In fact, that rivalry would evolve into one of the most productive musical relationships in history. The Beatles didn't see the Stones as enemies, instead, they offered help. Lennon and McCartney even gifted the Rolling Stones their first hit single, I Wanna Be Your Man. This generous act not only launched the Stones' chart career, it cemented a connection that would push both bands to unprecedented creative heights. By the time the Beatles were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the late 80s, it was Mick Jagger who took the stage to introduce them. With a mix of pride and nostalgia, he looked back on that era, the early 60s, when skiffle and rock were still unknown in the UK, and recalled how the Beatles opened the door for every British band that followed, including his own. What began as friendly competition became a cultural movement. The fierce, playful battle between the Beatles and the Stones didn't just define a decade, it reshaped the music industry forever. It wasn't just about #1 singles or fashion statements. It was about energy, experimentation, and pushing the boundaries of what rock and roll could be. They gave us the courage, Jagger would later say, and the challenge. Looking back, he described it as the best period of their lives, a time of rivalry, friendship, and rock revolution.